Hello, everybody. This is Dave Wood, and I wanted to do a very short video for you tonight. Just doing a recap of some of the exercises that I've been doing kind of through the day, and the increase in my ability to think, uh, reason, work with logic better. And also, the important thing about the things that I'm discussing is that what I'm describing is actually it's a key to unlocking the supernatural ability that lies within a person, okay, or rests within a person. That's a better way to say that. That rests within a person. The supernatural ability that's within a person to be able to create exactly what it is that they want in their life, in their family, in their relationships, and in their community around them. So let me describe to you how to radically enhance your ability to get things done. You ready? It's actually going to be very simple. And again, I'm going to keep this very short. Very focused concentration and attention and utilization of visual imagination specifically, okay, kind of interwoven with maybe a synesthesia of emotion, is going to unlock your ability to do things that are more supernatural. Now, you can think of supernatural in a lot of ways. Usually when I think about supernatural, I'm thinking about levitating objects, teleportation, superpowers. Supernatural can also just be supernatural increase in business relationships. Supernatural can also just be a increase in your personal awareness and your ability to get things done in a way that matters to you. One thing I discovered, this was actually recently, again, and I've discovered this before, is that I've, of course, been radically enhancing my mental abilities for quite some time. And it's very noticeable to people around me. And one of the things that I've struggled the most with has been the thing that probably was the most important thing to me maybe 2 years ago. And that was attention. And the reason is because I've my entire life not been able to pay attention the way that I wanted, because I was never really trained how to do it properly from my youth, because the methodologies and the technologies that I know today, my parents just didn't know when I was young. So it's not a matter that my parents wouldn't have taught me to concentrate. It's that the techniques that they were trying to use to concentrate didn't work for me. Now, if I'd forced myself to do them, maybe it would have worked out. But it's very difficult if a person isn't aware of what's coming next in their life, in their process. It's very difficult to learn the next step, right? If you don't have the prerequisite kind of flow that you know that you're going to go to this place and then you're going to move to the next place, and then you got to move in a step-by-step process, or the others in general, they get frustrated. So we want to focus, and we want to move you through some sort of sequential process for your ability to increase your ability to use your imagination. Because imagination, for example, is more important than science. Remember, in the beginning, imagination created science, right? This is from Einstein. It sounds like something Buddha would say, didn't it? You know what I mean? I got a little, check this out, I got this little Buddhist pendant thing. No, that's my Jewish one. I don't know where my Buddhist one went. Yeah, whatever. It magically switched. Oh, wait, here it is. Here it is. Check this out. It's like $5. I got this one. I like it because it's the Buddhist pendant hanging over the 10 Commandments, and I got the Jewish pendant right there. Yeah, I just like to weird everyone out. So in any case, right, Buddha taught about concentration too. Like concentration, it's like a fire in the front of your brain. It's kind of like what it is. Okay, spiritually, think about it like a fire in the front of your brain. Or think about it like you're staring at an object and two lasers are coming out of your eyes, and they're like two lasers are just pointing in on one space, and you try to keep your eyes there and you don't move. Right? Like direct eye contact, like right into a person's eyes, direct eye contact right into the camera, direct eye contact right into your partner. Concentration. Okay. Concentration builds the power to utilize emotional energy to manifest the results that you want to manifest in your life. Okay. Concentration builds your power to be able to do things like manifest 10 times more money or manifest a new business, right? Let me describe to you some experiences that I went through in the past. I've got about 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left. I struggled with attention for a very long time. Then I had a spiritual awakening and I figured out how to fix my attention. But it took a long time. And then I could have done it a lot faster. I was avoiding the one thing that I knew would absolutely fix it because it was really hard. And that was some training that I'm going to be helping promote here soon. But I'm going through it. And what I realized is that before, rather than just figuring out how to pay attention, what I used to do is I used to use a lot of caffeine. The problem with utilizing caffeine to pay attention is that you just have to use more caffeine when your attention wears off. So you get a dose, it gives you the ability to pay attention, and then it wears off, and then you got to use more caffeine. Okay, caffeine by itself and in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. Caffeine used in moderation can be fine. For example, there's scientific studies showing the benefits of small amounts of coffee in the morning, for example. Right? Like, for example, there's also scientific benefits showing, benefits of low amounts of wine or whatever. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for you, though. People don't know everything. I will just tell you that. It's okay, though, in moderation because plants have natural amounts of caffeine. A lot of the things you eat have caffeine in it. It's not just coffee or whatever. Right? But they're very low concentrated amounts of caffeine. So caffeine will produce attention. But then when it wears off, generally your attention will drop down. Right? But if you learn how to simply pay attention, then what happens is that you generate those chemicals on your own. And your attention can just kind of last all through the day because you're generating it by yourself. Does that make sense? So how can you pay attention and generate attention and consciousness power by yourself? Number one, some sort of self-awareness meditation, right? Like find a spot. This is Zen Buddhism meditation. Find a spot on the wall, stare at it and try to think about nothing but that spot, for example, for about 5 minutes. Right? See what happens. Right? Most likely, if you think about nothing but that spot for 5 minutes, your mind is going to wander a little bit, and you have to continuously train your mind to stay focused. Now, what's going to happen is you'll be sitting there, and you'll want to scratch your face, and you want to jump around with you got to train yourself to not move. Right? Now, after a while, what this does is this will relax the mind of the biology. So let me give you an example. I recently had an encounter, and I'm not going to talk about the details of it, of somebody that was not very friendly with Buddhism. And, member my church, he's not very friendly with Buddhism. I could tell he didn't like it. But there's great benefits in meditation that comes from Buddhism. You don't have to be thinking about Buddha when you meditate. You know what I mean? No matter what somebody thinks, there's fantastic benefits in it, right? Well, you can. I like Buddha. I got a little Buddhist pendant here. It's great. This one. Right? I like it. Right? Now, what you do, right, is you stare at that one spot and empty your mind. Now, if thoughts emerge, don't judge them. Just allow yourself to become aware of them and allow them to dissolve. Back into the oneness, back into the one spot. Eventually, over a very long period of time, what will happen is that doing this will open up your conscious, unconscious communication, because you're just allowing your inner thoughts and desires to bubble to the surface and make you aware of what your spirit wants. And if it makes you feel more comfortable, for example, you meditate on Christ. For example, today I did some meditation. I have these Catholic candles. Let me show you one of them. Okay, I like this one in particular. Well, these two I was using. I'll show you both. So I stared at this one for a while. This one's got Jesus on the cross, and this one's got Mother Mary on it, right? Put it back over here. I'll blow those out in a few minutes. Okay. It's a little messy in here right now. So I'm packing up stuff and everything like this. So in any case, I was staring at these candles. And it was majestically silencing, staring at the fire. Old technique, I promise you that. Light a candle at night, stare at the candle, let the candle just burn down. Okay? And just stare at it and empty your mind and allow your negative emotions to go into the flame. You use Christian candles, or you can use Buddhist candles, or you can just use candles, right? The fire is actually really powerful. Be careful, obviously, because you got to take care of your house. Make sure they're safe candles, and you put them in safe areas and whatever. People today they're not very aware of stuff like this, because they never use it. They just flick the lights on, because it's easier. But there's something magical about the fire, isn't there? It's like a caveman sitting around a fire, staring into the flames, watching them burn in slow motion. See, when you do the self-awareness, it allows your mind to become aware of everything around you. It allows you to release old negative energy. It allows you to engage in deep forgiveness. I was watching the story about Buddha on YouTube earlier today. There was a time when Buddha was sitting there and he was teaching, and a business person came up. Oh, Jonathan, Jonathan, shoot me an email to the Kingdom of Elohim at gmail.com. Hold on, I'll do this one. The Kingdom of Elohim at gmail.com. You shoot me an email there, bro. So yeah, very intense, direct, focused energy aimed at your outcomes on purpose with visual imagination for long periods of time will teach you something called attention stability. Let me give you an example of attention stability, right? Like I just did this and then I was going to scratch my face and then I just paused and I stopped myself because I don't feel like I needed to do it. Attention stability allows you to do things like suppress impulses. Impulses, they come into your consciousness all the time, and most people are not even aware that they're there. Impulses constantly involved in your consciousness prevents you from getting anything done of significance if they're not managed. It's not that the impulses are wrong. It's that you got to, number one, learn to manage them. Number one, learn to suppress them if need be. Number two, keep track of what those impulses are, those things are coming up. So for example, if you have something distracting thought, rather than just going and doing it, pull out a pen, write down your distracting thought, and continue what you were doing. That makes sense? So in other words, you have a thought come into your consciousness, right? Rather than just acting out on it, what do? You write it down. You decide on it later after you're done doing what you're already doing. And always write something before you do it, right? You say, why would you do that? Well, you don't have to do that. Like, for example, if you memorize what you're going to do next, if you have a trained memory, for example, you just memorize it and then do it later or transfer to writing. However, if you get in a habit of doing something before you take action, it trains your brain to suppress impulses. Okay? And the better you are at impulse suppression and focused energy on your outcome, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to produce now the results that you want. Does that make sense? So again, focused energy, direct at your outcome. Okay? Obviously, it's going to help to have very relaxed biology. So one of the benefits of meditation trains the physiology to let go of tension. Tension in the physiology interrupts with the processing of thought and consciousness. Let me give you an example of something that can interrupt with consciousness. Okay? Eating too much or eating too little, right? Eating too little is generally less of a problem for thinking than eating too much. Because the more your stomach has to work while you're thinking, the more the brain energy moves from the head to the stomach. And that could be used for focus energy in the brain. So one of the mistakes I was making till recently was I was eating too much through the day rather than just eating kind of in sectioned meals. And it's fine to eat all day, except for you want to balance it in a way where you have adequate rest time after you eat in order to be able to use the sugars properly in your food and the proteins properly in your food without interfering with brain energy. Does this make sense? This is why a lot of successful people, they schedule their meals because they know, okay, I can eat at this time, then I'm going to be working with people for the next 3 hours after that, and then I can eat a little meal again. And then they schedule it and they take notes, right? Another thing is tension in the biology. So for example, right, if you don't exercise, your body gets tense all over the place from the lack of exercise. If you exercise and you don't stretch, your body is going to hold some sort of hologram of tension from not relaxing the physiology after it's worked out. Does this make sense? Okay? So doing a stretching routine. The next thing that's going to help is your ability to utilize visual imagery. Visual imagery is the key to manifestation. Visual imagery combined with emotional energy, really. Okay? Combined with the spoken word. There's nothing more powerful than the spoken word combined with the intention of the visual imagery. People today are most of the time not very good at visual imagery. They think they are, but they really are not good at it at all. People used to have better visual imagery than they do today because they had to. If they didn't have good visual imagery, they wouldn't remember where to ride their horse to pick up the water. Or, today we have an iPhone and it just tells us, or a Android phone, and it just tells us where to turn in order to go somewhere, right? We don't have to pull out a map and remember where to go anymore. We don't listen to instructions and just remember where to go anymore. This is not what people do in general. And all these things are processes of the visual function of the brain. Instead, people are involved in video games, constant media, TV shows, and a lot of people don't use their imaginations nearly as much as their imaginations need to be used. Everybody uses their imagination in some way, but not sufficiently. So because of this, the attention of society is weak. This is manifest in, for example, all the videos you see have to be changed every 3 seconds. There's going to be an angle change or people can't pay attention, right? Everybody's like hurrying down the road. You want to know why people are such in a hurry on the road? You say, well, it's because they're late. No, it's actually just because they're not relaxed and they're not paying good attention. And because they're not paying good attention to what's going on around them, they can't get places on time. It's not because they need to rush on the road and be a jerk on the road and be dangerous to everybody around. But that's what they do, right? If people just paid more attention, then what would happen is they would start getting better results from just the attention that they pay to getting attention now on things. So when you learn how to focus, let me give you a story. My brother Will, and I'm almost done with this video. It's the last story. I was talking to him. He's a hypnotist, and he's like, I used to, have kind of a diagnosis where I would have been a diagnosed ADHD. And I said, really? You would have been? He said, yeah. And I said, how'd that change? And he said, well, I started doing meditation. And then over a period of 6 months or a year, it changed. And now he wouldn't be considered as having that diagnosis anymore. Because attention stability produces more clear visual imagery that produces better memories, that links experiences together in a better way, that teaches you how to focus all your consciousness in one direction, that teaches you how to produce the results that you want. That makes sense? Right? If you learn to focus now, you can do anything. And you don't need anything to focus other than natural food. Natural food will produce all the focus you need. Okay? Natural food, vegetarian diet's fine. Pescatarian diet's pretty good for brain function. One of the reasons the Japanese are so intelligent is because they eat fish. Jesus was a pescatarian. Right? And so pescatarian, vegetarian, very good diets, right? Stay away from unclean fats, unclean animals, things like this. I've talked about this in previous videos. And make sure that you're regimenting your behavior. It's very important for a person who struggles more with attention to have a more regimented schedule. The reason is because the regimentation of the schedule will fix the other problems that person has with their consciousness. The regimentation of the schedule will fix other problems that person has with their consciousness. Meaning that if they wake up at the same time every day and go to bed at the same time every day, which is more difficult for them. So if they have somebody around them set the schedule and then they just follow it, then that'll fixate them in a sleep-wake cycle. Their body will fall into a rhythm. There's a thing called the circadian rhythm. The body will produce more energy the longer period of time it wakes up and goes to sleep at the same time and has the same schedule. Schedule is unbelievably powerful for the physiology, for the brain, for the biology. Obviously, so there's some times when you need to go a little bit around your schedule, but it's better not to. It's better to keep your schedule, unless there's just an absolute emergency. But a great schedule will prevent most emergencies. That makes sense? So I used to kind of wake up at random times. Now I wake up, generally about 6:30, and I'm building up to getting up at like 5 or 4. Because really I want to wake up at about 4 in the morning. That's what I want to do. Because it's better for my energy. So you wake up and you have regimentation. Okay? Regimentation. A regimented schedule. Okay? You wake up, it's regimented. It's focused. And depending on who you are, what kind of personality you are, will depend on how you should start that day. Some people, it's, for example, I have a friend on Facebook. And his teacher, he's spiritually awakened. And his teacher that helped lead him there is a Kabbalist, this guy, studies Kabbalah. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him, and his meditation teacher says, well, it's not necessarily good for him to meditate in the morning. It's better for him to meditate at night. Right? So people have different kind of energetic systems. Like for me, right? It's better for me to wake up in the morning and do something like anaerobic exercise than meditation. Right? like that, just bam, like get the blood flowing. And then I do intense meditation with very intense concentration exercises, because for me, it takes a long time to wake up my neurology. If I don't take the time that's required to wake up the neurology, right, then what happens is that I would need something external to wake up the neurology. But if I take the time to simply wake up my neurology, then what happens is that my neurology stays awoken all day long by itself. So awakening the neurology is very important to producing what you want. The next thing is always focus on your dreams. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. No matter what somebody tries to tell you, no matter what darkness in front of you face, no matter how many failures you encounter along your journey, no matter how many people belittle your dreams and tell you you can't do it, no matter how many times somebody in your friends or family or your relatives says you can't do that. I had a lot of people tell me stuff like this, real close to me actually, over the last couple of years. Grow up, Dave, right? That's never going to happen. Just down. Feedback from a lot of people. You know what, though? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you that no matter what anybody thinks of what I say is going to happen, it's still going to happen. That's it, period. Because what they believe about it has very little to do with it actually being accomplished. Till later on when they believe because everyone else believes. Because that's how it works. It'll happen, that's it, period. 100% of it will happen. When you are focused on something like that and you say, it's going to happen, that's it, period. This is the way that it's going to be done. And you just keep focusing and focusing and focusing. And when everybody else gives up, you never give up. When people revile you and persecute you and cast you to the streets, you keep fighting. Because I believe in you. You know that? I believe in your ability to go out and make market-moving changes, to make changes in your personal life that lead to changes in the economy, that changes in the environment around you, to changes in your family, to changes in yourself, that go out there and change everything together. I believe in your ability to produce magical results. I believe in you. And I'll never abandon you, nor will I forsake you, not ever. I might get pissed off from time to time, and I might not be perfect. But here's what can control that. What can control, for example, in somebody, outbursts, mistakes, somebody who repeatedly makes mistakes, bad work habits? How is that stuff all repaired? Most people, they just try to get people to change their behavior. Changing the behavior without changing the root of the problem is like you have a rotten root in a tree that's infecting the rest of the root system. And you're trying to change the fruit of the branch. You're spraying it with bug spray to get the bugs away because the bugs are eating it. The bugs are eating it because it's rotten fruit. So what a righteous man would do is he would change the root system. He would cleanse the roots that would bring forth better fruits. That's what they would do. Makes sense? You can always trace the fruit to the root. I learned that from Danny Johnson. So if there's something broken at somebody's root, there's going to be something broken in the fruit. Okay? So what's the root of issues of, for example, somebody showing up late all the time, somebody not being consistent, somebody not being able to control themselves, for example? Okay? problems that prevent somebody from really being able to build movements or being able to build themselves the proper way. What's the root of it? The root of it is nearly always concentration. And if it's not that, it's simply knowing what to do. If a person can concentrate and remember things and they know what to do, most people will work hard enough in that environment to get whatever they want done. So without increasing your ability to concentrate on something, you're not going to increase your ability to improve your people skills that much. You say, why? Because no matter how much information you have about people skills, you won't be able to apply it if you can't remember people's names and faces, for example. If you can't remember what script to use, or if you can't find the right words, this all comes from concentration issues. Frontal lobe activity. The part of your brain, the front of the lobe, this is what separates the human mind from everything else. Other than that, we're very similar to chimpanzees and stuff with our brains. We have these huge frontal lobes that nobody knows how to use. That's what people like the Buddha mastered. Learning to concentrate. People who sit there and stare at candles for 8 hours a day and they concentrate, and then a few years later they can levitate with their minds. Yeah, it might take them 10 years or 20 years or whatever, who knows. But they start to produce really powerful abilities. Some of these monks in the Shaolin temples, for example, they can levitate. They can do weird things with their chi. I saw a guy on a YouTube video having somebody drill on the side of his head with a drill bit. And the thing couldn't pierce through his temple because of his chi. I would not encourage you to try that at home. Okay? And you tell it's real, right? People do that in their throats, all sorts of things. They learn to condition themselves. Your concentration is like how much spiritual energy are you putting towards your future, towards what you want? Your concentration will affect your work habit. As you concentrate more, your ability to get more done in less time will increase. As you concentrate more, your ability to communicate is going to exponentially expand. As you concentrate more, right, your ability to manifest supernatural abundance is going to exponentially increase. As you concentrate more, you're going to know what to do more, and you're going to control your words more, and you're going to be more precise, and you're going to be more calculated with everything that you do. You're still going to be yourself, yet you're also going to be more precise with yourself, with your spiritual energy. It's not just about concentration, it's also from flowing from the heart. Yet without concentration, you can't really flow from your heart and maintain congruity. So concentration should flow from your intention, your desired outcome, your desired future state. Or just focus on the now. For example, what's the best thing to be focused on if you're talking to your partner? The best thing to be focused on is your partner just right then. What they want, what they're talking about. The more a person wanders from that, the less results they start having with their conversations. I used to, when I talk to people, I always wanted something. Right now, that's not how I am. Right now, I actually just want to know what's going on inside the person. And I'm right there seeing how I can help. Just thinking right into their soul, sending them spiritual energy. My life's really interesting, I'll tell the rest of the story tomorrow in a thing. I'll tell about how my life's like a movie in maybe the next video. My life's very interesting. It's like a movie. Everything in my entire life, walking around, following me with a camera, looks like a movie. The way people react to me, the way I talk to people, the things people say to me, they're hilarious. The people I encounter, it's just the most bizarre thing ever being around me. It's great. Why am I like that? Well, that's a subject for the next video. For now, my encouragement to you tonight before you go to bed, try some sort of technique. Stare at a spot on the wall, pick any spot, or a photo. It could be a photo of something you want. Stare at it for 10 minutes before you go to sleep and try to keep a silent mind, and then go rest. Wake up tomorrow with a new, fresh outlook on life. Can you do that for me? Can you wake up tomorrow with a new, fresh outlook on life? Feeling good now about your future? So when you wake up with a new, fresh outlook on life, you wake up, boot your energy somehow. Now, some people, they need to boot their energy a little bit more slow. Like, for example, maybe 5 minutes of stretching for me, slow. Then maybe put on some music and start flowing. You know what I mean? Maybe do my kung fu forms. You know what I mean? Maybe do some dancing. Maybe just love people. Maybe just teach principles that lead to freedom and greatness. Maybe just love each other. And all of a sudden, it's like you're breathing in fire. You're putting it into the front of your brain. And everything just activates. And you can focus. The more work you do with your brain in an intense manner early in the day, the better results you produce from the morning to the evening. This is why a lot of leaders, they wake up and they have study habits in the morning. My dad used to wake up, he used to read scriptures every day. Not for a lot of time, but maybe 15 minutes. And then he'd do it some more, 15, 30 minutes, an hour at night or something like that. He'd read and read and read. The more reading you do, the more thinking you do, the more kinetic action you have with your mind, the more results you're going to be able to produce in your life, in your business, in your marriage, in your family. In everything connected to you. I'm very happy you're here today. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope that you get value from them. Please visit my blog at theteachingsofkingdavid.com and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate you very much. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Messiah David. If you feel like sending me an email, you can send one to thekingdomofelohim@gmail.com. ELOHIM. Hey! Good night. Dream of the Messiah David tonight. Positive dream. Saving the world. All right. Talk to you later, Jonathan.